Hey guys, so I already recorded this one time and I don't know, something went crazy with my system. So I had the code all done and all that. So I was going to mention that, yeah, I had mentioned yesterday that things were changing in my life. I got a new job. I write legislative software. Today was my first day. It was awesome. I had a great time and learned some cool stuff, and I'm really looking forward to it. If you ever watch Saturday morning cartoons, and you saw that how a bill becomes a law um, little cartoon, that's the code I write. The code that I'm going to be writing. The code that helps bill that basically make allows the lawmakers to convert bills to laws. So that is awesome blossom. What I was mentioning was that uh, basically what we want is a list of fonts. We basically want to make it to where the user can select their font in the. So when we edit here, we want to have like a drop down that says, you know, a list of fonts and all that. So there's a couple things we need. One is, since it's asynchronous, we really don't want to try to to draw anything until the fonts are loaded, the font files. So that's these JSON files, and we won't, and we want to to communicate to the front end or to the components that the font has been loaded, and then we want to in the then allow the user to do a drop down to select something, and then in the renderer to update the font appropriately. So, anyways, there's a lot of different directions we could go in. The first direction I decided to go in was to basically create a signal, a font list signal. And so the pattern I've been going with is um, to create a writable signal that's private, and basically this is what publishes changes, and then to have another public font list, and I always just name it values at the end. So if you look at everything else, I just this is just a thing. I don't know pattern that I've created. I don't know if it's going to be. It's very unlikely this is going to be a best practice, but signals are pretty new, and I don't really know exactly. There's no best practices yet, so or at least that I'm aware of yet. So, anyways, basically I do this computed thing. So whenever we set this signal, basically the first time it's going to go through, it's just going to be an empty array, and then this computed thing is going to fire it off. So anything can. It's not subscribe isn't the right word. It can run an effect against this values. So basically, um, in the constructor, I I push these in here, and then I use promise all. And before I kind of recorded myself, I tried to record myself fumbling around doing this. Like I said, something went wrong, but basically uh, now I can just tell you. I do promise.all, and then I pass in the array of promises, which is basically I use this map operator to get those promises, and then once they're all resolved, then I'm going to set the array list. I'm gonna publish, and then I have to do this array from because signals will not republish something that hasn't changed, and it doesn't check the values of arrays. It just checks to see if the array has changed. And by the array changing, what I mean is it checks to see if the pointer, the address of the array object has changed, and it will. So this array from pushes that, but this is only a shallow copy. So, which is fine because I don't have any deeply nested data that's shared across multiple things. That's where you start running into problems when you have different data structures pointing at the same base objects, and then you do a shallow copy, and then things can get very confusing. So we don't have to worry about that here. So basically, that's that. And I think so. In the next video, what I'm going to do is, so I was like, man, you know, like when you look at these, how much time are we in? 5 minutes. Okay, good. I was like, man, when I go to my mesh manager, right, like, um, basically, if I look in the TypeScript, we have an effect, right? We have an effect, and so basically, anytime the mesh 3 service mesh list changes, all of this code runs. Anytime a so mesh list. Okay, so this is not. This is a good example where this is not a good example. This is an example where there's only one thing that's being affected, so that's probably a good thing. I have other examples where I have, and actually it may not even be in this project, other examples where I run multiple effects, but all the code runs. And I was like, man, that stinks. Like all this mesh list stuff and this, oh no, so, and yeah, and filter, yeah, all of this stuff is going to run whenever the fonts update. And I realized, that's just an indicator that I need to I need to have a new component. Um, so, uh, like a more deeply embedded component, which is like, for example, like this color thing is a different component. Um, I need to create something along the lines of like this color. It's my drop down, and all it does is tell this up and down, and then that child component can listen to the fonts listing, and so that sort of prevents this effect from running this extra code whenever that happens. So that's what I'm going to do next time. Next time I'm going to create a new component and it's going to listen. It's going to be rendered and it's going to listen for the fonts and show the list of fonts. It's going to show like loading fonts. So that's kind of a good idea so that I know if something were to go wrong, it would just say loading fonts forever. But it'll just say loading fonts until they're loaded, which should never ever be a problem because they get loaded in the constructor of the service, and I can't. There's no way that the user is going to get over here before there, so they'll never even see that. But in the future, if something changes to where you could see the text, like let's say we made the default text, you might be able to see it. Anyways, happy coding, everybody. Bye.